Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Dani. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to knit this beautiful blanket. It is a very small blanket that I made for my daughter's dolls, but you can definitely modify the size and make it a baby blanket or even bigger. Before we get into the tutorial, I want to remind you guys that you have the written instructions, the materials, and everything that you need to know about this pattern on my blog. It is cgdesignblog.com. I will leave the link in the description below, and I will be listing the materials and the link to purchase the PDF pattern that includes a ton of sizes also in the description below. So yeah, now without further ado, let's get into the video. So to make this beautiful blanket, as you can see, it's got textures, these little lines that I like call the little worms, because I don't know, they just look like little worms. But like I said at the beginning, this is a small blanket that I made for my daughter's doll. It would be good for a newborn, but no more than that. So I will be using loops and thread. This is a category 5 bulky weight yarn, and in the color Sunrise. It's very pretty. That's why the name of the blanket as well. You will also need your 6mm knitting needles. I'm using my circular knitting needles, but you can use straight if you prefer. I will highly recommend you use circular needles. These ones are with a 32-inch cord. You will also need your scissors, 2 stitch markers, and a tapestry needle. Now, to begin the blanket, you are going to cast on your stitches. If you want to make a bigger size, you need a cast on multiple of 10 plus 6, and also considering the border. So for the small size that I'm making, that I'm gonna be sharing with you guys the pattern, I'm doing 56 stitches. I'm doing less for the little swatch that I'm doing in here, just for the purpose of this video to show you a little bit quicker. But for the size that I made, which I will leave here on the screen, I did 56 stitches. So now continue casting on your stitches. Once we are all done, we're gonna begin with the border of the blanket. So you will need to knit. We're gonna do a garter stitch border, which is very simple. All you gotta do is knit, 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 and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna knit across the row for 10 rows for the border. And in here you can get creative and make any kind of borders that you like. I'm just keeping it nice and simple with the garter stitch. So here I'm going in the next row, and again, just knit. Every single stitch is a knit stitch. That's how we make the garter stitch. Just continue knitting across the row and until you have completed 10 rows. Once you're done with your 10 rows, this is how it should be looking like. We're gonna do one row that's gonna be kind of like the setup row, and then we're gonna begin with the sequence. So in here we're going to knit 5 stitches, which is going to be part of the border. So we have 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to place the first stitch marker, and we're gonna carry the stitch marker as we continue knitting. This is going to help us see what is the border and what's the body of the blanket. Now we're going to purl across, sorry, not around, across the row until you get to the last 5 stitches. So continue with your purl stitch. However you know how to do your purl stitch, remember that. Here I have my last 5 stitches, and I'm going to place my stitch marker again and then I'm going to knit the last 5 stitches, and this is again to separate the border from the body of the blanket. We do the 5 knitting stitches to continue with the garter stitch border. So now for the next row, which is going to be the row that's going to start the sequence that we're going to, or the repeat sequence that we're going to have to follow. Again, you have all the written instructions on my blog. We're going to knit the 5 stitches. This is for the border. Move your stitch marker. And now we're going to purl 6 stitches. We go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 more, 6, and then we're going to start the repeat sequence, which is knit 4 stitches and purl 6, knit 4 and purl 6, knit 4 and purl 6. So I have my 4 knit stitches, and now I'm going to purl 6, and you're gonna repeat the sequence across the row until you have 5 stitches left, which are gonna be the stitches for the border, and we're going to knit those. So in here, continue with your sequence, knit 4, purl 6, all the way across until the next stitch marker. Here I have my last 6 purl stitches, and when we get to the marker, you're going to move your marker and then you're going to knit the last 5 stitches, which are going to be your garter border. And the first row is done of the sequence row. Now for the next row, you're going to do that again, knit 5 stitches for your border. Then you're going to purl across the row until the next marker. Continue, purl all the way across. Once you get to the end, you're going to move your marker and knit 5. For the next row, you're gonna start again with your 5 knit stitches, and this row is knit, knit, knit across the row. So you knit the 5 stitches and then continue knitting all the way across. So this row is entirely knit stitches. For the next row, you're going to knit the 5 stitches, and then you're going to purl across the row until you get to the next marker. And when you get to the next marker, you're going to knit the last 5 stitches. So here I'm at the end. Move your marker and now knit the last 5 stitches to continue with the border. Okay, so to recap, we did the border, 1 setup row, and then we started the sequence row, which was 1 row with the little worms that I call, then 3 rows in between, and now we're gonna do another row of the little worms. So each row of the worms have 3 rows in between to separate them, if that makes sense. I'm hoping. Okay, so the next row, we're gonna start again with knitting 5 stitches to continue with the border. You're going to move your marker, and this next row of the little worms, it's going to be purl 1, then knit 4, purl 6, knit 4, purl 6, knit 4, purl 6, and you're gonna repeat that sequence until you have 5 stitches before your marker or before the border. So in here I have my purl 6, and then I continue with the sequence, knit 4, purl 6, knit 4, purl 6, all the way across, like I said, until we have 5 stitches before the marker. Once we get to the last 5 stitches, we're going to knit 4, and then you're going to purl the last stitch. And now we continue with the border. You knit 5 stitches. And that is the repeat sequence that we're going to do. Now we're gonna do the first row of worms that we did. So in between, remember, in between each rows of worms we need to have 3 rows of just stockinette. So the next row in here will be purl across the row, the next one will be knitting, so we have the purl row in here. Now we go to the next row, which is knitting across the row, knit, 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 and then we have the next row, which will be a row of purl. So we knit the first 5 stitches, then we purl across the row until the last 5, and we do the border with the last 5 stitches. Now we're gonna do one more row of the little worms, and remember, all you got to do is do 1 row of the worm first, 3, then the second row, etc., and continue all the way up until you get to the length that you want. Again, the specific length that I'm doing for this blanket, it's going to be on my blog. Okay, so continue repeating the sequence, these rows, and check out the pattern that it's free on the blog so you can have a better understanding. And now I'm gonna do one more row of the worms, the first repeat row, just so I can show you how we will finish the blanket. Okay, so I knit my first 5 stitches. Now I'm going to purl 6 and then knit 4, purl 6, knit 4, purl 6. So I have my 6 in here. Then I need to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then purl 6 and continue repeating the sequence across the row until your next marker, and that's where the border is. Okay, so let's think that this is the second last row before we're finishing with the border. Okay, so your last row before the border, it doesn't matter the size that you're making, we need to repeat the same thing as we did at the beginning. So your last row before the border will be a row of purl stitches, just so we have one nice difference between the last row of the worms and the border. So we're going to purl all the way across until the last 5 stitches, and the last 5 will be knit to continue with the border. So now in here I have my last 5, and then we are gonna continue with the border as we did at the beginning. So we're gonna do 10 rows of just knitting stitches, which will be garter stitch. So you're gonna knit your 5 stitches in here, and then you can remove the stitch marker because we're not gonna need it anymore. And now you're gonna continue knitting across. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna remove the other stitch marker, and you're gonna continue knitting for 10 rows. We're gonna do the garter stitch. So in here, let's pretend that I did my 10 rows. This is a small sample again, just to show you, but let's pretend that I did my 10 rows of the border and I'm ready to cast off. I'm gonna show you how I cast off my stitches. It's very simple. Again, you need to have your 10 rows. I'm just showing you here very quickly how it's done. So I'm gonna show you how to cast off using your knitting needles, which is the regular way, but I'm also gonna show you how to cast off with your crochet hook, because that's my favorite way and it's actually way faster, and you for sure are not gonna lose any stitches. So to cast off, all you gotta do is knit the first stitch, knit the second one, and then you're going to slip the first stitch over the second and off the needle, just like that. And we're gonna do that again. Knit your stitch, then go to the first stitch and slip it over the second stitch and off the needle. One more time. Knit, slip over and off the needle. See how it's a little bit, it's not trouble, but definitely, I don't know, slower. Now let me show you how much faster and nicer it is to use your crochet hook for this. So you're going to insert your crochet hook and you're gonna use it as if it's your knitting needle. You're going to insert your hook, grab the yarn as if you were knitting, and then just slip, just like that. Insert, grab the yarn and slip, and look how much faster. It's not complicated at all, and it's so much better. It's gonna save you from a lot of headaches. So I highly recommend you use your crochet hook to cast off your stitches. And then you're gonna continue doing that all across. And in here, let's pretend that it's my last stitch. All you gotta do is a little knot. You're going to pull tight. You're done. And all you gotta do is weave in your ends, which you should only have a couple if you're joining a new color, but yeah, this is how the blanket looks like. And let me show you the back in case you're wondering. The back looks like just a garter stitch blanket. It has just these little sides in here where you can see where the little worms are. It's funny because they actually look like little worms. But yeah, I really love this pattern. It's very simple, but it gives a really nice texture, and if you're using only one color, you will see them even better. This is with a more natural light, so you can see that it actually really shows. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment below, leave me all your questions, comments, or whatever you want to say in this section below. And don't forget to check out the blog. You have the free pattern for the size that I'm showing you here. And if you want a ton of sizes, you can purchase the PDF pattern. I have done all the math for you, so you don't have to, and you can choose all the sizes there. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.